Well, folks, we have cilantro, and actually quite a bit of it. I was just out here getting some of the wild spinach out of the way, even though it's just as edible as the cilantro, but I'd rather cilantro continue to propagate and do its thing, because there's a Mexican restaurant here in town that'll buy this stuff up, and as you can tell, there's quite a bit of cilantro here. It's just a little bit. It's only just started the season. And then that little guy there, which he'll catch up. I just got to get rid of these weeds. The wind kind of fucks shit up over here, but I'm going to be bringing some watermelons out, and they're going to go at each corner, and they're going to share the garden with the cilantro this year, because I only have two that I'm concerned about mainly this year, other than the other ones that they come up and stay up. But I'll use these tomatoes to guide out those, and I'm sad because all my peppers and everything died this year. I had strawberries over there, they died. All my wild lettuce came up this year like normal, but I'm not focused on the wild lettuce because I'm not advertising wild lettuce. This, if anybody doesn't know, this stuff here, it is good for pain relief. It's like a milk thistle. It's got a little bristly on the back. You can see the little spines. See those? They're kind of sharp. You gotta be careful with them. But this milk thistle here has, or wild lettuce has, medicinal pain relieving properties when cooked down and turned into a paste. Oh, I might actually have one of my bean plants may have survived, but as you can tell, the wild lettuce, it takes over the garden pretty much. I'm going to come through here and chop it down, but I knew it would come up because it always does. It comes up every year. But this is where we originally got the seeds planted from the birds dropping them, so I just kind of left it. But this year, since I'm dedicating the garden to watermelon, most of this is getting mulched up, other than that and the wild onions. I ain't mulching them up. I'm gonna come back every year too. They've been there since we bought this house. I'm sad though, because I did all this work, put down all this paper, and my tomatoes got killed because of that snow. But as you can tell, the wild lettuce, it didn't come up till later, so it didn't have any issues. But that's okay, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't worried about it. I'll just come through here with a weed eater and yelp her down. It does have medical properties, but I don't utilize its medical properties unless I really need it. But I'm gonna have to come in here and trim this half mulberry out of the fence to give these babies some room, because they're doing good and they're actually really pretty. I just had an ant crawl across my screen. That was cool. And we got a shit ton of wild rhubarb. If y'all haven't seen, like, yeah. If y'all haven't seen, we got a shit ton of wild rhubarb. All this rhubarb was probably transplanted from over there, where there's more wild rhubarb, but a couple trees in here that I'm gonna cut out. They're just getting big, you know what I mean? They're everywhere. And then there's a wild mulberry right there in the middle. And this is just a little section. All these seeds were transferred by either my dad or myself. Actually, this might be wild squash. There's flowers blooming there. Well, I might let it be to see, because this might actually be the wild squash that I planted a couple years ago. I waited. I planted like just a whole pile of squash in here. And if it came up this year, that's cool. You know what I mean? Because I think we had a couple small ones over here in the corner. I just didn't mess with them. But in order to get more light to them, I'm gonna have to clear this out. Really give them access to everything going on in here. But they're thriving and they're beautiful. That might even be a watermelon. Hell, I don't know. Kind of looks like a watermelon with the tendrils. That's why I think it's a squash. We'll see. They're putting on flowers, so hey, if I got some squash, I'll be down with that too. But that'd be the few things that made it, you know. My strawberries, they got decimated. Made me sad because I had like 8 strawberry plants over on this side. I was just gonna let them run and take over, but all this wild lettuce, it prevailed through the cold. But its roots are a lot deeper, and it's been here for years. We pull it, but it never truly dies because we don't spray. And it's really actually a hard plant to kill off, even if you dig up the root. If there's just a little bit of root left, somehow it manages to make it to the surface. Oh, but the wild onions though, look, they're going to bloom. And I'm gonna have to get in here and like hand weed these wild onions for sure, because they are doing their damn thing like always. Every year, these are Egyptian walking onions. We planted 3 bulbs back when I was 14. And every year, these motherfuckers, I swear to God, I'll clip chive onions off here all summer long and sell them all summer long. And they're actually fixing to go to flower, but I'm gonna cut. Oh, yep, they're starting to flower out, getting ready to put on flower and seed. So I might just let them be for now, because every time they form these little buds at the top, that's where the flowers come out. But I can cut these down here and take these in and let people buy these. You can use them as onions for your soup. They're freaking delicious, like absolutely. But these weeds are so thick in here, like I haven't really looked at the garden, you know what I mean? The only thing I've been worried about is getting my sunflowers up and getting them a chance, because they're what I really was focused on this year. I didn't really focus on much else but my flowers. And I grew the flowers for my mom. I don't know if y'all have known or not, but some of you who know me personally know that just this last week my mother passed away. So I'm in mourning. And I haven't checked out my garden, you know what I mean? I've been working on this garden for years, but every year it gets bigger, it acquires something new. I get something that comes back, which I love when stuff comes back. These Egyptian onions, they're prolific. They will grow every year, and every year this patch gets bigger. I mean, I tilled up some of it in the spring because I was trying to make room for the watermelons, but right now they're getting all the good stuff out the soil. But they've been here for, it's been years, like years. And I'm actually probably gonna come in here and mow all this down once and just let them come back, because it'll allow me a chance to get this guy out. I don't want this mulberry tree right in the middle of everything. And this was something the birds dropped. They're all over the yard. They're everywhere. Even my peppers died. I had habaneros and stuff. So I'm sad about that, because I had Moruga scorpions out here too. I thought I was gonna see if I could get them to flower out, which would have been really unique had they have finished off the year. But like I said, the wild lettuce, like, it comes back every year, pops up in random places all over the garden. And we don't spray, so this is what it is. Last year I had some wild vines that came up, which was really unique. Wild spinach. All this is just taking up vitamins, but it's been here for years. We've eaten the wild spinach. We'll go through and hand select leaves that aren't bitten up or whatever, and if they got a couple bite marks, yeah, you take them, eat them. It could hurt you. It's good for you, actually. A lot of vitamin K. Another wild mulberry. A couple more wild mulberries by the house. This thing's gotten so strong it's putting off its own offspring. A tree next to a tree. But obviously this thing's ancient due to its sheer size, and I guarantee you when you cut those limbs open, oh, there's branches that are falling out. But every year this tree, it gets bigger. We don't cut it, we let the branches fall. But if something falls on the house, well, it is what it is. But the world ain't like it used to be. We used to have trees like this everywhere, and I love it, you know what I mean? This is probably one of the second to third largest trees in Fort Dodge. But actually these guys here, and they've been here forever too, you know what I mean? That old guy over there, he's been a major shade for years, you know. With these trees, if they weren't here, it would make a more open space for the garden, but I garden around the trees because ideally I love them the way that they are. And the wild rhubarb I was telling you about, as you can tell, wild rhubarb is coming back. It grows like a weed. It's super edible. I love wild rhubarb. I love it. But I don't eat too much of it because it upsets my stomach. If I'm making rhubarb pie, cool. But wild rhubarb, it's everywhere. Got a couple more mulberries in the fence, thanks to the birds. But that's just from them eating the berries in the spring, and then them hanging out shitting everywhere, which is fine. That's what they do. I'm not mad about it. I wish that there was more of my garden and less of the mulberry trees. I mean, look, they line the fence. The last couple years, these mulberries have gotten so thick that I'm really gonna have to like get in there and rip out a whole fence and everything, just because it's almost making a wall of shade because there's trees mixed in between. And if you just let it grow, natural windbreak. Not the way I intended it, but that's the way it popped up. And I've got half a feeling to call the DNR and just let them buy this property and see what happens. And just let it be a real wildlife preserve. We got a couple pheasants that live back there in the wild squash. They're there every year. They have their babies there every year. We don't mess with them. They'll flop out of there or whatever when we're over there mowing, but might startle you for a minute, but they ain't hurt nothing. They ain't hurt nobody. They're very peaceful creatures. They get a little scared and whatnot. Dad did a little sacrificial ritual out here with Mom's ashes on the ground or something. I don't know if that's ashes or from the grill, but it could be both. Yeah, anyway, so we cremated my mom. That's what she wanted, and I'm not going to go against my mother's wishes. You want to be cremated, Ma? Cool. I love her very much. I miss my mother dearly. I am glad that the neighbor cut out the grapes. She bought grapes one year, and instead of buying one plant and trimming it down to one vine and letting it run across, she let the whole thing just run. And after about 2 years, it made a whole mess of this whole fence. That's why it's all bent. That whole fence is bent because the grapes were so heavy that they were actually breaking the poles or forcing them down on the poles and causing them damage. If she would have just ran one vine from the corner down, she would have had a shit ton of grapes. And then she could have went all the way around the top of her fence with it. But grapes they're very fast growers. And when you get them and they got a good place to run with plenty of sunlight, they do pretty damn well. But yeah, that's the garden this year, y'all, other than the watermelons and stuff you've seen. I got a couple over at the office, and I'm going to bring 5, it's either 5 or 6 over here, and they're going to overrun with all the cilantro and stuff. And I'm probably going to harvest some of that cilantro here in a couple weeks, let it get a little bigger, and take it down to a Mexican restaurant, see if they want to buy it. Put it in their homemade salsa. No chemicals on it, so it's all just going to be let grow out, and just I'm going to continuously harvest off of it the more it grows. I'm going to try and keep it from going to bolt. This is a different variety than I've grown before, so it's supposed to be more tolerable to the heat. I guess we'll see. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. Them wild onions, though, yeah, I'm going to mow them down once, get that tree out of there and let them do their thing, and then I'll harvest them the rest of the year too. Just the greens part, I won't even take the onion out the ground because that's what keeps coming back every year. I'll take the greens for half the summer, and then I may harvest every other onion just to thin it out for next year. But normally I don't even harvest them. I just let them grow. I just let them grow and spread. The more they go to seed, the more they spread. So I take that all, at face value. They come back every year. Even if I mow them down, you can't kill them. I've tried. You'd literally have to spray them with something, a heavy-duty chemical, and I don't believe in chemicals. That's why the yard looks the way it does. It's more natural to the landscape around. Grass is not as natural as the rest of it. I mean, it is, but technically most grass is just a weed, just like these weeds. I prefer the plants, especially the ones that flower. I mean, we got bushes all around the yard, cherry bushes all on the outside. Bunch of wild mulberries, but I don't even harvest none of the mulberries. If somebody wants them, they can have them, but they're there for the birds. That's why I don't really take them out. And if I do take them out, I'll leave one at least, just so they have something to eat. Because unlike most people, I actually genuinely give a fuck about our environment and the animals that live here. Unless I need to eat something, I can grow my own food. I don't need theirs, you know what I mean? And I grow some for them too, so they belong here just like the bees belong here. and I grow food for the bees. That's why I got all the wildflowers and the sunflowers. Just wait, when them sunflowers get big, and I don't know, did you guys see them yet? We'll go take a walk on the wild side. And I don't think I've even went live showing the YouTube world community about my sunflowers. This year I'm growing Russian mammoth sunflowers. We had a little frost. I planted them before the frost, and then we got about 6 inches of snow one time. That one time I thought killed everything, but it didn't kill the tall wild flowers. And these are all yellow variety. The other purples and pinks and stuff didn't pop up, which I'm sad about, because I was really hoping that they would. But these are really beautiful. It's like it's an original dandelion, I guess. They flower out just like a dandelion. They look just like them, other than the structure of the plant itself. And I know they're wildflowers because I planted them. I just came out here in the spring and I spread seed everywhere, wherever would pop up or wherever I thought it would pop up. And the idea is we're trying to let the wildflowers take over the yard. Less mowing, more beauty, you know what I mean? And we're giving the bees some food so they can survive, and we survive. And these big sunflowers, these are going to be real big feeders for the bees this year. I'll come out here all summer long, and they'll probably be swarming because there's a field of them. I don't know if you can see all that, but there's a field of sunflowers. Maybe I could go through and count. I don't know if I can get an accurate count, though. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So there's 24 just in this section. Now, keep in mind, these are Russian mammoth sunflowers. They're going to be about 15 foot tall. I'm going to leave a flower in each row to go to seed, or to keep the seed for next year's sunflower patch. And then I'm going to expand it. It's going to get bigger. I might even put some out there in the field. That'll look beautiful, but they'll mow it down, so I don't even bother. I planted wildflowers over there in the ditch. I've taken seeds from down the lower part of Fort Dodge, wild milk thistle, all sorts of different wildflower varieties, and I planted them in that ditch. And you know, they should let it just grow. They should let it grow. They should let them flowers grow and bloom, but they always cut them down. Usually they leave this little section here out in the field, but I'm happy to see that a lot of my sunflowers came up. There was 161 originally. 161 didn't pop up, but I have a quite a large variety of them that popped up. There's not as many on this back half here, but that's fine. There's quite a few in this grass here. I'm gonna try and get a count on them. So I think I was at 26, so we got 27, 28, and I just came through and hand watered all these guys. 29. I just came through and hand watered all the sunflowers because I'm not trying to water the rest of the weeds. I want them to kind of starve for water, and then I want these sunflowers' roots to take over the ground space here, and that's why they're here, because I'm just going to let them drop seed. You know what I mean? All flowers will drop seed eventually, and they'll come back next year. You know what I mean? They'll grow prolifically every year. It gives the bees something to eat. Gives me seed. I love the seed. I love sunflower seeds. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I love sunflower seeds. And I'll probably keep one flower to replant this whole area. There's probably a couple thousand seeds in one flower, assuming the birds leave me enough. I'm still gonna have to fight with them, and I'm not putting nets over the flowers, because if they want to eat the sunflowers, they can have a few, just like they can have the berries. You know what I mean? And those are planted for them. So 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. So altogether there's 37 Russian mammoth sunflowers. I'm totally okay with it. Until they get bigger and their root system gets bigger, I'm going to hand water the shit out of them. I'm going to leave the wildflowers where they are, let them go to seed and spread out, because they'll come back next year and then they'll be all over the yard. I'm assuming that I'll have probably a couple thousand of these yellow flowers next year, just scattered all over this place. And for those people who are out there and they see these types of flowers, when they pop up, they're wildflowers. Leave them alone. They're for the bees. You know what I mean? I feel like people should mow around their wildflowers and leave their dandelions alone. Everything has its purpose. Everything's supposed to be here. It grows here all by itself. I mean, if more people were less concerned about their proper lawns and more concerned about our bee population, the world would be a better place. I don't think we really have to worry about the over swarming of bees. Yeah, in some parts of the world, bees are pretty fucking excited and kind of wild, but there's bees everywhere, different varieties, wasps, yellow jackets, hornets, bumblebees, honeybees. We need all of them. They're our pollinators. They're what make the earth thrive. Everything grows and flowers and puts on seed because of those guys. I had some lavender out here too, and I'm sad because it didn't come up at all either. This year I'm going to take and probably come through this whole area in the fall, and I'm going to spread wild lavender everywhere. I know a little patch over on the south end of town out in the field that I have access to. The farmer told me, he says, you can take as much of it as you want as long as you don't rip the roots out. No problem. And I just wanted seed. I let it go to seed, and in the fall I go get the seed, and then I bring it out here and I spread it out, let it grow. I've yet to get them to sprout though. I'm working on it, but it's okay. It's all a work in progress. But I've been working in this yard since I was a kid, and that's a fruit tree. Those are all cherry bushes. They put on lots of cherries, and you hear the birds. They hang out here. You know what I mean? They hang out here all year round. They come down the grass and eat worms in the summertime. We don't bother them. They don't bother us. They're our friends. Gives us something to look at. This whole area will be filled with birds in the summertime. They'll be up here tearing up them sunflowers. Every year my dad's planted sunflowers. That he's planted his sunflowers. He plants a different variety than me. He just plants a standard sunflower. I like the Russian mammoth sunflowers because they're like small trees and they're really tall. And they're hard to miss, you know what I mean? I want people to see them from out on the highway. I want them to look over and be like, damn, those are pretty. And it will be pretty. Unfortunately, because the wild sunflowers are so big and so demanding as far as nutrients, and I'm not like tilling up the ground, I'm just letting them grow naturally. I have to watch over them more, you know what I mean? I have to weed around them and everything else. But I'm gonna cut this video short. It's not really short, but my dad just called, so I probably gotta go take him to the toilet. All right, y'all. God bless. Peace out. We'll show you more garden updates. Later, taters.